Filipe, hello. Thank you for joining me today for this interview. Could you give an introduction about yourself?
Thank you very much for having me. So, my name is Filipe. I'm from Portugal. I am 28 years old and I have a background in finance where I've studied and work in finance. And I'm currently at the Stocks campus in the real world.
In the stocks campus, got it. How did you come about this interview? It was through Seth, right?
Yeah, exactly. Seth contacted a few of us that were having nice wins, and I just thought it would be very important to share the real world platform to everybody because I actually got to know this platform through one of these interviews.
Oh, wow. Did not know that. That's very cool. Do you remember which interview it was?
So I don't remember which interview it was. I knew Real World since maybe a year ago, and I always wanted to do trading. So what happened was I never thought about joining until one time I watched the reel, and there's this guy that said he made I don't know how many thousands in the real world in the stock campus. And then I was like, wait, is there a trading stock campus in the real world? I went there, checked it, and joined it the same day.
I wonder if it was Drat, Jimmy, because
I,
he's
I
probably
will.
the biggest one, as in the biggest one that I've interviewed was from Jimmy.
Mhm. I will definitely put the effort in and look at all of these interviews, and I want to find him because I want to thank him actually.
Check Jimmy first, because if it's not that, it won't be Seth, right? Because I mean, you've spoken to Seth at this point, so you
Mhm.
know if it was
Maybe
Seth.
draft.
Drat. Yeah, probably. Okay. So yeah, there you go. There's a lead for you. Let me know how that goes. Now, you joined the stocks campus. How was that? Did you get what you were expecting, or was it different from your expectations?
Oh, I got way more than I was expecting. See, I always wanted to do trading, as I mentioned before, but I never really got a base where I could learn from. Let's say in a way that you knew it would work. And the stock campus gave me not only the insights and videos where they teach you the more technical stuff, but it gave you the community, and that was something I didn't knew I needed. I always thought that trading was something to do solo, that you just turn on your computer, do your trade, you're done for the day. But no, it's actually a team effort, and having brothers helping you with all the trades, with giving you warnings, with giving you possibilities and new ideas, it's really what makes the campus so great. So I
Mhm.
was mesmerized. It was amazing. It has
Is
been
there any more
amazing.
to add on how the community helped, and how did you know that their advice was credible?
So one thing I really enjoyed and I took a lot of time looking is that in this community, people call the shots. So when you have someone saying, "I think this stock is going to do this. These are my stops. This is my trade," and they do that constantly and they win constantly, you kind of start to realize, okay, I'm dealing with people that actually know what they're doing. And on the other hand, for example, they really help you keeping you calm because before I was in the real world, I didn't realize how emotional trading was. And sometimes you are with a lot of emotions trading, or trading is going your way. You are very thrilled, but you have to come back to being focused. And the stock campus helps you that because there are always people telling, "Careful, guys, careful with this, careful with that. Don't push too much on this trade, maybe take some profits, assess your emotions as well." So you have always someone checking you up, I would say.
Okay, go a bit more into what was that journey like overcoming the emotional part of trading?
Oh my God, it's so hard. I think if there was no emotions, a lot of people could be profitable. It's really hard, and you must do some psychological tricks, like some for example, I started to do some meditation, and you must always. I think what has worked most for me, it's actually have people around you to check your emotions. Because if 10 people are crazy, but one is very calm and assesses the emotions of the 10 crazy, just by mentioning that, everybody can be like, okay, maybe we are a bit overextended. So this mutual check, I think it's the most important to keep your emotions on check. Because that's the thing about being emotional, right? You don't realize when you are on it.
Okay, fair enough. And now, say a bit more about the learning resources within the stocks campus. First, how different they are from what you could have found out on the internet. And two, is there a progressive, how would I say, progressive system in the campus? I know in Adam's crypto campus, as you progress, you unlock new chats, you get access
Mhm.
to new things. Is it similar in the stocks campus as well, or not?
A little bit, yes. So I would say for someone who never used it, as you get in, you are incentivized to watch all the courses. So we have a lot of courses on different topics, and you can watch them, rewatch them. If you have any questions, there's always a chat for the beginners to ask questions, and that is very useful. And it gets you sort of up to speed on the stock campus itself for you to understand the terminology and everything that comes with it. Then after that, you start unlocking some channels where the professor sometimes gives some calls, guides students through some trades that it suggests are good or not. So those are extremely valuable as well. And of course, then you get to ask questions on DMAs. We have a call every day before the market opens to talk about the market, what's going to happen. And it's very insightful. And if you really put your effort into it and ask good questions, you get good answers as well and very fast as well. And that's, I think it's a good way to teach. And it has been very valuable, I believe.
That's interesting. An AMA every day pre-market opening just shows the dedication and again the community aspect
Yes.
of it.
We even have in the weekends where there's no market, we even have mindset AMAs where we talk a bit of topic stuff, which has been extremely helpful, to be honest. It gives a more sense of community. People really band together, and it's our profession is amazing, and it's very good to delve into his mind and see how he sees the world as well.
Okay, so thank you for those answers, and I would like to know a bit more about you. So, how different is your average day now compared to before you joined the real world?
Um, so my average day now, it's I'm still working on my job, which is finance related. So I haven't left my job yet, but my day is in a way way more meaningful. I strategize and I allocate my time way more efficiently. I'm way more comfortable because I'm making money to maybe spend where I want and do the things I want. Whereas before I was always in the back of my head, should I buy this? Should I not buy this? When, for example, I go to a restaurant, you read the letters, which is what you want to eat, but then you read the numbers on the right. And now that doesn't happen as much. So my life has improved in a lot of ways. Also in the physical sense, there's some accountability when it comes to fitness, and I've been delving into that more as well. So far so good. And this, I would say even the best thing is it sort of gives you life and light at the end of a tunnel. Like you see, if you keep
A
going on this
direction.
trajectory, you're gonna get somewhere.
Yeah, it gives you a direction. Nice.
Exactly.
That's very good. And since you say you work in finance, what's your background with that?
Okay, so I actually wanted to be a trade since I was 12 years old. It's quite young, but I knew that was what I wanted to do. So the logical thing I thought was go to finance course. So in high school, I chose economics. Then I had a management bachelor degree and the finance master's degree. Uh, and I even did 2 levels of the Chartered Financial Analyst, which is a financial certification. And then I started my working job in finance, and that's where sort of for me was like a shock because I realized the world didn't work as I expected. For example, I would say comparing to the real world, what we are taught in finance, it's not to really enrich ourselves, but to enrich owners of companies or to do jobs that are the more operation on an operational level that don't really enrich yourselves. And you are also fed some lies that are debunked in the real world. There's actually a section for that in the teachings. For example, you are everybody says in finance when you are learning that the markets are efficient and there's no opportunity on the markets. That's actually something you use in almost every financial formula is that the markets are efficient, and that implies that there are no opportunities in markets. And once somebody looks at the markets, just realize they are a mess. There's a lot of opportunity. There's opportunities every day, really, and it's a really different environment. Also, I would like to add that when you are, for example, in a university learning from a professor, the professor don't really teach you directly stuff. They teach abroad, set of students and they teach a curriculum. Whereas in the real world, if I have a question, I just text to the professor and he replies within 10, 15 minutes, which is very valuable. I remember when I was in college, I had a professor that was actually a fund manager as well. And I wanted to ask him a question off topic, of course. So I'd have to wait the class to be over. I had to run to him, ask him, and he was always in a rush because he had to give another class. So there was no time, no one-on-one teaching. And in here, you really feel like your answers are answered. Your
Right.
questions are answered.
For $50 a month compared to university.
Yeah.
And did you see they recently got the domain university.com, the real one?
Really?
The real one, yeah. Now, if you type in university.com, it comes up with the real one. So you can
No
see
way.
the
I have to
transition
try
there.
that.
It's very interesting, yeah.
That's cool.
And okay, let's speak some more on that aspect then, considering everything. You're saying university taught it more broad, they taught incorrect things as well, whereas in the real world it's more specific and you actually get one-on-one time with the professor. So since that's the case, are there any other differences that you've noticed between university and the real world?
Yes, the main one, which Mr. Tate always speaks, is about the velocity of money. So, for example, in university, the things I've learned that I could enrich myself with the things I've learned are very non-practical and they don't really work. You are taught, for example, to evaluate companies to do long-term investments, which they can yield you maybe 7 to 10% if you're good. Whereas in the real world, it's about velocity. It's trading. We have three types of trading: scalping, which is intraday trading, trading on the same day; swing trade, that takes maybe a couple of days to do your trades, and then we also have the long-term investment part. But because we learned about derivatives and how to multiply money faster, it's way more practical to do money rather to, especially if you are someone that does not have much initial capital, to wait on your investments and then get a very low rate of return.
And why do you think it's not taught in uni, also in the real world?
Uh, I think that the realization was mid uni. So I think everybody that joins finance, it's like a conspiracy theory. I think they think on the back of their minds that they're going to get rich very fast. And especially me, I mean, socialist Portugal, that's not the case at all. And yeah, I think in the real world, it's just much faster, it's practical, and it's working.
But why do you think it's not taught in uni, the things that are shown to you in the real world? Because it's just a complete contrast in education within the real world, as you were saying. So why is it not taught in uni? What's taught in the real world?
I think what's taught in uni, it's for you to be an employee. You work for a big corporation and you are like a part of that corporation. And of course, we have all the systems, which is another amazing thing compared, for example, to the real world. That in when you have a normal job, which I have currently at the moment, I'll give you an example of my job. Maybe it's easier. So my job is performance reviews every 6 months. Every 6 months, I can get a little raise or not if I behave well. If I give 100% and my colleague gives 500%, we are both raised at the same level, and every 6 months. In the real world, because they teach you stuff for you to apply yourself on your trading, my performance review, it's every day. Every day I have a P&L on the trading charts, profit and loss. Every day I have results. I have to be accountable for myself. So the differences are really huge in that way. I would say you have to be more accountable, but you always have the means to use all your energy to then do something big and make real money.
Okay. Now, in terms of indicators, which one do you like to use? Would you be comfortable revealing?
On the stock markets,
Hmm.
yes. So we trash a bit indicators, to be honest, in our courses, but I really like box breakouts, which is when a price is consolidating very tightly. So there's a lot of buying and a lot of selling pressure, and one of those buyers or sellers are going to lose, and then the stock just skyrockets or plummets. taking advantage of those movements are the most profitable. It's the most profitable strategy I've come across so far.
Interesting. Okay. You say they trash indicators. So what other ways of reading the stock market are there if not indicators?
Okay, so when I mean trash indicators is don't use solely indicators to trade. I mean, every indicator has its use, and I think the best way to go around the stock market is practice and backtest a lot. So you must watch a lot to be comfortable with the decisions you make. You see things happening over and over and over again, and that's what makes you have the confidence to then take on the trades. And then, and I think that's the most beautiful part of trading. It's very fluid. So every day the stock market is different. So you have to gather all these pieces of information, all of those things that are available to you, and also that the people in the real world share, which is amazing. Sometimes you forget about something and someone mentions, oh, there's a report coming at this hour. And you gather all of that together, gather your perfect conditions, and then you go for the trade.
Yeah, very cool. Now, what would you say was the biggest challenge you faced when you were starting out with stock trading and implementing the lessons from the real world? Was it emotions, as you said before, or something else?
Yes, I think the biggest shock was the emotional side because it takes a lot from you. And the classes are very well taught, so technicalities were very easy to learn. Also, maybe because I've studied, but the professor always answered the questions I had, so the technical stuff was easy. Now, the emotional stuff is the stuff that belongs to you. Only you can control your emotions. The professor can control your emotions. Your friends can control them. So that is still the biggest challenge, and I think it is on every trader, regardless of the experiences.
Okay, fair. Now, a random question. What's that in your background? Is it places you've traveled to?
Yes, exactly. So every time I travel to a country, I mean, they are not all pinned. I do a pin on the country, then I put a picture to remind myself of a moment I had in that country, and yeah, it has been good so far. One of also a very good thing about the real world is that once I'll be able to trade full time. I can also be anywhere I want, which is the ultimate goal.
I see. So yeah, that gives an insight into future plans, I guess. Clearly, you like
Yes,
traveling, so that's something you want to do a lot more of in future, right?
of course, of course.
Okay. Now, in terms of monetarily, then, how much can you relate to the real world in terms of earnings?
Sorry, come again.
How much can you relate monetarily to the real world?
Was okay. At the moment, I've made 15,000 euros in 5 months thanks to the real world. Pretty consistently, I would say. There was not big up and downs, and I think there's a possibility to do way more, and it's very scalable, which is the most attractive thing. It's not capped to a wage.
Right. Okay, let's break that down some more. Did you do paper trading when you first started, or did you just get straight into it?
I didn't because I've traded a bit before, so I started straight away, but in really small amounts. And what this made was it made me be in control of my emotions. So I have money on the table. It's like playing poker. If you are playing without money, it's a completely different thing than when you're playing with money. So what I had done was I started to trade in very low amounts, where I would still be impacted by the movements of the price, but it wouldn't really affect my trading account. And from that point on, and as you learn and as you test systems, which is the most important thing, you get more confident, and then you start sizing your bets. And also, people think that trading it's a very stable business, but no, it should be taken like a business. Actually, there's times where there's very good conditions for trading, and you should go heavier on those conditions. And there's time where conditions are trash, and you shouldn't even trade. There are, like the last month, I think at least 2 weeks we didn't trade in the campus, or we were highly advised not to.
Okay, I see. Makes sense. And you say it was fairly consistent throughout those 5 months. But surely when you first began, you didn't know too much about what you were doing? Or was it just all laid out? You went through the courses and then you just felt comfortable trading?
So the first 2 months were harder because I if I learned finance, so I might come in an advantage, but it's also disadvantage because I have to unlearn a lot of things that I thought were true and they weren't. So I started really doing a lot of mistakes, obviously, and I had a few winners that were statistically higher than what should have been. That's actually made me feel the constant thing. And then I would say there's a funny part on the campus as well, because the professor gives shots, like he gives some calls that you can take on certain trades. And in the beginning, I didn't trust anybody, so I would doing my trades, and they were like very slowly increasing, steady but slowly. And then I saw professor. Damn, the professor is hitting every trades, and then I gained a lot of respect from him because it just gets him right almost every time. So I started copying him a little bit, and all the account grew higher, so you can actually copy the calls that he makes. But now I'm on a stage where I'm not copying so much because I want to make sure I can do this by my own, which is also the ultimate professor goal, is for us to be able to be independent and do this on our own. So now I'm taking more of my trades, doing more mistakes as well, but I think it's good for the learning curve.
How are you learning from those mistakes that you make? Let's say, would you have a recent example?
Yeah, financially, when you lose money, it's way easier to remember. And yes, so recently there has been time and time again, especially in the last month, where the trading conditions were not optimal. And instead of, for example, spending my time back testing some strategies and following the advice of professor, which was do not touch your keyboards today, don't trade, I was always trying to look at the charts and trying to find the trade. And I've lost some money on those trades as well, which set me back a little bit. And I actually, this month, I only started to come back up again on the profit was when the professor said the conditions were good. Now we go hard. So yeah.
Very interesting. Okay. And how's your risk management? Because I think that's a big area where people fail, right? They don't manage their risk properly.
It's true. It's a area where a lot of people fail, and a lot of people fail also to realize that it's not too hard to manage. For example, a lot of people are afraid of the trading because you can lose it all, and it's not like that. For example, if you can, for example, risk 1% per trade of your account, you have to lose 100 trades in a row to your account to go to zero, and I think it's
Which
impossible to lose 100 trades in a row.
statistically is very unlikely that you'll lose
I would even
100
say
hits.
more. I would say if you are able to lose 100 trades in a row, just do the opposite, and you'll be a millionaire by the end of the month. And even that, and if you lose, for example, 50 trades and my account is 50%, I can then readjust my risk and start risking 1% of those 50. So mathematically, you have to lose a lot to go to zero, and it just doesn't shouldn't happen if you put your effort into it. If you backtest, if you have strategies, if you listen to the professor, most and foremost, yeah, I would say it's an unlikely scenario.
In your case, what's your average stop loss compared to take profit
Okay,
in terms of
so
percentage?
at the moment I have two types of strategies. So one of them it's bounce from very key levels, and on that one it's a very small profit taking compared to stop loss. So a 1-to-1 ratio should work. And on the swing trades, we usually get a bigger stop loss, let's say 2% of the account. For example, sometimes you have a good trade, but we are not market wizards, so we cannot time it perfectly. And sometimes you have to let it burn a little bit, even though your mind and your expectations didn't change. I think in trading, we usually say strong opinions loosely held,
Okay, I see.
which is contradictory, but it's a saying from one of the most famous traders in the world.
Who is?
I have no idea about his name. I know it's
Okay,
bold and it's like a lot into psychology of trading.
okay, fair
I
enough.
should know his
Very
name.
interesting.
I have to check that.
All right. Now, since you're on this trajectory, where do you see your life heading in the short term, medium term, long term? What plans do you have?
All right. So, for example, for the short term, it's definitely get more consistent and in my system and be able to finally leave my job. I mean, for the money I'm making, I could have left so far, but I think I'm not in a rush. So, short term, make more money and better my system. And medium term, once I leave my job, would be, of course, help out the community, because I feel I've been helped a lot. Everybody has been amazing to me, and I definitely want to give back. And long term, it's too far away for me.
I know. Especially when there's so much evolution happening personally and just in general in your life through the work you put in. It's very hard to predict further into the future how things will play out. Because again,
Exactly.
when you're that doing that much, it can just go in so many different ways. So I completely understand that.
That's true.
And separate note, what kind of an impact has Tate had on you, if any?
So the biggest impact, I would say, it says a lot of good stuff that takes a lot of time to digest. But I would say the greatest impact he had on me was definitely self accountability. Was not only realizing that it's up to us to make things happen, but is the freedom of that psychological effect, which is actually my life is in my hands and I can make these choices to make my life better. All I have to do is put in the work, and that has been amazing. The impact it had on my life.
And I'm happy to end off there then with a final question. For people who are unsure about joining the real world, because what if you're getting scammed for $50? What advice would you have to them?
I mean, the first thing I'm gonna say, it's $50. It's nothing, and I swear to God, it's not a scam. It's an amazing platform at so many levels. Not only technicalities of what you learn, but the community itself. And once you're in there, you realize that you need a community, and the community makes you grow so much more, maybe than, for example, books. So I just say, go for it. Please pay the $50. Don't go out for a night out 1 or 2 days, and it's super worth it. You'll understand. Once you're in, you understand. That's the main point.
Exactly. And you can just try for 1 month and cancel if you don't like it.
Yeah, but there's a reason there's thousands of people there.
Hundreds of
They all can
thousands.
make decisions. They could leave hundreds. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Philip, was a great conversation. For people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
Thank you. So you can find me in the real world under Fmarcal. You're gonna write on the bottom, right?
Yeah, yeah,
After.
yeah.
Yeah, and on Instagram is Filipe __ Marcal. You can ask me questions about this, and I'll be happy to reply them.
Cool. So yeah, we'll add those to the description of the video. And Philippe, I look forward to doing a follow up with you in future because you had it in a very good trajectory. So I'm sure you'll have some progress to update us on in about 3 to 4 months. And until then, I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and keep spreading the good words of the real world. Thank you.